Hey everybody, Paul here at Lake Erie Metropark, Marshlands Museum, coolest place in the world. Thanks again for joining me for part 2 of our investigations into Mr. Purdy's egg collection. So for this video, I'm going to share with you a little bit of the how, and then I'm going to answer some of the questions that I suspect you may have regarding this spectacular collection. We're really fortunate to have it. So the first thing to think about is, how do you get a collection like this? Your average person can't do it. You absolutely, positively must have a permit from the United States Fish and Wildlife Service. You've got to do it. Once you get your permit and you have a little bit of a scientific vision of why you're collecting the eggs in the first place, you just go out and take the egg out of the nest. It's really that simple. The problem is, where's the nest? So if it's 50 feet up in a tree, you got to go climb 50 feet up in a tree. What if it's a peregrine falcon egg in a nest? You may have to rappel down the side of a cliff. So securing the egg is very simple, and at the same time, very complicated depending on the eggs that you're trying to get. Something else you have to do in order to be very scientifically minded with collections like this is you have to be good in the office. You have to keep all your paperwork in order. This is an actual tag from Mr. Purdy from 1926, and it actually goes with these black tern eggs. And I can look at this tag and see that he captured this very egg in 1926, June, actually, in the St. Clair Flats, which is out by Lake St. Clair Metropark. How did we come to get this collection? Here goes. Mr. Purdy died in 1962. Remember, he lived up the street from Kensington Metropark. Prior to his death in 1962, or after his death, maybe his family went down the street and said, "Hey, Kensington, here's these eggs. We're going to give them to you because basically they're extra." Now, if you ask me, I think that pun was extraordinary. I actually get paid to do this, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, but I think it's worth the whisk. All right, so a couple questions that I think I can answer for you. Are the eggs empty? They have to be. They have to be empty. You cannot take a bird egg out of a nest and put it in a drawer and think you're going to come back to it later and have a good egg. It will have rotted on you. You don't want rotting eggs in your collection. So you have to find a way to get the inside of the egg out without breaking open the shell, because we're not trying to make omelets. You want the egg to be intact. So the strategy is very simple. You just put a hole in it, and then you get a wire or a probe and you scramble up the inside of it, and then you get a syringe and you blow air in and it all squirts out. As the pressure builds up on the inside, it can only come back out the hole and takes everything with it. All of these eggs are empty. All of these eggs have at least one hole. Sometimes there'll be a second hole where you blow the air in one end and it comes out the other end, but most of the eggs only have one hole. Why do they look so different? Well, that's one of the questions that ornithologists and oologists continue to study. The patterns are different, the colors are different, the shapes are different, and there's lots of different ideas out there as to why that is. One thing that's pretty well set in the mind of ornithologists is the idea of camouflage. So this egg here, for example, is from a little bird called a spotted sandpiper, and I promise you, you could walk within feet of these eggs on their natural substrate like gravel, and you'd never see it. The camouflage is absolutely extraordinary. Other birds like this here, this is from a great horned owl, and they don't have to worry about camouflage because the egg is up in a tree somewhere. So colors and patterns can be a function of hiding it from predators. That's part of it. Why are they shaped different? Well, here's something. Notice that this one's actually pointed and this one's not. There are people who have suggested the idea that a lot of your ground nesting birds or your cliff nesting birds actually have pointed eggs. And the idea is that if the egg gets bumped, it will roll in a circle and then come back to where it started. The difference would be rolling off the cliff. So the pointed eggs are often found for ground nesting birds. Coming back to our great horned owl egg, it's in a nest. It's safely tucked away in the nest. It's not going to roll anywhere. Others have actually thought about something a little bit different. They've actually considered the idea that the shape of the egg would alter the shape of mom's body as she flies. And as you balance out her body shape with the egg shape, the shape of the egg basically gives her the best aerodynamics as she flies. So for some birds, like a duck, for example, an American widgeon, her flying is at its best if she were to have eggs like this. If a duck were to have a really long egg like this, it would change the shape of her body and she wouldn't fly as well. That's what some people think. The shape of the egg changes the shape of her body. Pretty crazy if you think about it. But make no mistake, when it comes to eggs or anything else, we're actually looking at a field of science where we know a lot, but there's also a lot we need to learn. And that's one of the things that makes science so fun. We don't have all the answers. We got to go out there and get them. I'm going to bet that you still may have some questions. And if you do, by all means, reach out to us. Go to the Metroparks website, metroparks.com. Send your question to the Ask Kevin column, and we'll get back to you, I promise. In the meantime, again, my name's Paul. Thank you a lot for joining me for another museum moment. Have a good day.